Dr. Jermaine Archer, the founding director of Old Westbury's Black Study Center and the organizer of today's program, is unfortunately not able to be with us today, although he is with us in spirit. He is thrilled to bring his mentor and friend, the esteemed author Daniel Black, to the college to speak with us about Black brilliance and resilience. My name is Lana Barber. I'm the chair of the American Studies Department here at Old Westbury, the department that will enthusiastically house the recently approved Black Studies major here at Old Westbury. I'm thrilled to present today's program as part of the Inauguration Week activities for Old Westbury President Dr. Timothy Sams. But before I introduce our speaker for today, I would like to invite Sydney Williams to the stage to perform Lift Every Voice and Sing. Sydney Williams graduated from Old Westbury and has often sung the national anthem at our commencement ceremonies. She currently works in Old Westbury's Student Success Center, and I'm very pleased that she's able to sing for us today.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might brought us into the light. Lead us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy land, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Thank you.
Sydney Williams. Let's give her another round of applause. That was stunning. It's humbling to be on a stage with so much talent today. So let me introduce today's speaker. Dr. Daniel Black is an award-winning novelist, professor, and activist. His published works include They Tell Me of Home, The Sacred Place, Perfect Peace, 12 Gates to the City, The Coming, and Listen to the Lambs. In 2014, he won the Distinguished Writers Award from the Mid-Atlantic Writers Association. His award-winning novel, Perfect Peace, has been reprinted more than 10 times and is heralded as an American literary classic. Dr. Black has also twice been nominated for the Townsend Literary Prize, the Ernest J. Gaines Award, the Pharaoh Grumbly Literary Prize, the Lambda Literary Award, and the Georgia Author of the Year Prize. In 2015, Dr. Black's The Coming was published to broad critical acclaim. The novel is a first-hand account of the trauma and triumph of Africans aboard a slave ship in the 16th century. Reviewers called this work brilliant, poetic, and a literary homage to the lives of those Africans tossed into the sea. The Coming was chosen as the common reading for Old Westbury's first-year experience in 2018, and the college was honored when Dr. Black came and spoke to students about this profound work. Dr. Black's newest novel, Don't Cry for Me, was released by HarperCollins Publishers on February 1st, 2022. National Book Award winner Jessamine Ward calls Don't Cry for Me, quote, a perfect song. His newest work, Black on Black, is his first collection of essays and was just released this year. A native of Kansas City, Kansas, Dr. Black spent his formative years in rural Blackwell, Arkansas. Dr. Black graduated from Clark College, now Clark Atlanta University, where he earned the prestigious Oxford Modern British Studies Fellowship and studied at Oxford University. He was awarded a full fellowship to Temple University, where he studied with poet laureate of the Black arts movement, Sonia Sanchez, and earned his PhD in African American Studies. He is now professor of African American Studies at his alma mater, Clark Atlanta University. Dr. Black lives in Atlanta and is the founder of the Ndugu Nzingo Rites of Passage Nation, a mentoring society for people of African descent. Dr. Black, I'm honored to have you with us here today.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here. I really, really am. In Dr. Archer's absence, this is really his baby. This is his idea, and he did everything necessary to get me here, so I really want to honor Dr. Archer in this moment. And some of you may know or you may not know, Dr. Archer's wife is actually here in the audience. I don't know if you've ever met her, but she's one of the most beautiful Black women on the planet. So I'm going to put her on the spot and just ask her to just stand up so all of you can see her. Stand up, please. Come on, you got to stand up. That's Celeste Archer, yes. Some of you may know, or some of you may not know, actually, that your president, Dr. Sams, and I go way back to those Clark days. And when I heard I heard this was inauguration week for president, and I said, well, who is he? And they said, Dr. Sams, and I said, whoa, not my Dr. Sams, right? So, Dr. Sams, congratulations to you, my brother. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And one last person I want to acknowledge, we've known each other for almost 40 years now, literally, almost 40 years. We were roommates in graduate school while we were at Temple University. One of the dearest, one of the most amazing, one of the most brilliant souls in Black studies now, right? The one and the only Dr. Shabazz, Dr. Rodney Patterson. Wave your hand there, my brother. That's my man. So I'm going to start with the reading from Black on Black. The reasons I write. I write because I believed I was ugly. Then I wrote myself into beauty. I write because I hated who I was. Then God told me I was divine, and shame had no place in a divine soul. In exchange, I promised God to tell the truth, the real, naked, glorious truth, that we are all gods, made in the image of a perfect, marvelous creator. I promised to tell that God is not concerned with flesh and blood, but with spiritual ecstasy shared between the living and the ought to be living. So with pen and paper, I set about the duty of setting the world free. I write because we rape. I write because we hurt. I write because some pain can't be described. It can only be felt in the marrow of a story or the lyrics of a song. I write for the boy who wanted to be a man but couldn't figure out how, or the girl who dreamed of beauty but was given brilliance instead. I write that they might not give up the fight, that they might know that the failure is in others' eyes, not their being. It is in others' judgmental hearts, not their sacred difference. I write that they might live, that their stories might be holy and sacred, read by others standing at the cliff, weeping, trembling, begging God to change them, when God says simply, hell is for those who don't love themselves. This is why I write. To soothe wounds too deep to heal. Day and night I write because precious blood streams from those who can't find God within themselves. In every character, every plot, every description, every image, I seek only to create a world full of gods. Lesbian gods, ant gods, tree gods, ocean gods, grass gods, elephant gods, but holy gods all, who share powers and kingdoms too secure for laws and limitations. I write that troubled black youth might happen past a mirror and dance at what they see. I write that elders might know their lives were not in vain. I write to tell gay brothers they're straight too, to shed light on the power of love and everyone's right to have it. I write to announce that without forgiveness, there is no liberty. Forgiveness teaches you that no one can control your happiness unless you surrender it. I write to give you permission to take it back, to tell the world to kiss your ass if it thinks you're going to die to satisfy other people's outdated, antiquated beliefs. I write so that you can tell the world, no fucking way, when it tries to convince you that you ain't supposed to be free. This is why I write. To strengthen the strong and fortify the weak, to sing praises to those who died for those who wouldn't, to pay homage to those who declared, I am black and I am beautiful, long before anyone else agreed. To say thank you to men who love and honor women, to bow before women who love and honor men, to applaud the few who love and raise children they did not birth. We've not taken the risk to strip ourselves naked before the world and stand in full confidence of what it beholds. We're not yet sure of our divinity, not yet convinced of our holiness, not yet persuaded that we're worthy of heaven. And so, until we are sure, I write. And I'm going to write until the wind outsings my pen. If there is no paper, I shall use the wall. If there is no wall, I shall use my hand. If I must relinquish my hand, I shall use the very earth upon which we stand and scratch into the dust the sentiments of my liberty. There are triumphant stories to tell, y'all, unthinkable testimonies to hear. Stories some don't want to read, but everyone needs to heed. Stories that celebrate transgendered angels and bisexual prophets. Stories of people we threw away who could have saved us. Stories of broken hearts, broken promises, broken dreams, broken ribs, broken spirits. Stories of victory and achievement against the odds. This is why I write. I have to write. Because America lies. It says black men don't respect black men, and black children are inherently inferior. America says black women are fussy, naggy, bitchy, needy, shallow, and mouthy. Don't you see the lies? It needs these lies in order to boast itself the best country on the planet. Well, that too is a lie. Well, it could be true if America ever admitted who built the damn place. But that, my friend, is just too much truth. And since we all know what America does with truth, I write. For the obese and the anorexic, the joyless and the sorrowful, for the man too anguished to adorn, the woman too forgotten to mend, the child untouched and unpraised, I write for their hearts, their precious, tender hearts. Each word is an invitation to believe a new thing, a different thing, a more marvelous thing, a more transformative thing that invites them to remove their mask and exist unashamed. I write because black people still talking about good hair and boasting of minuscule strains of Indian blood in African veins. I write for those who birthed children they did not, who birthed children they buried too soon. I write for those whose hearts quiver now because they loved so hard but got so little in return. Those who wanted to love but trauma disallows. Those who work miracles every day but never get a crown. I write because we're still talking about Jesus as if there's never been another, and we're still praising Jesus for having done what most of us wouldn't do. Yes, I write because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Indeed, it has come and gone so many, many times, yet we keep looking for God while we're looking at God. So I write. that we might acquire eyes to see and ears to hear and voices with which to speak. And perhaps then, finally, we will discover one day that really all that God is us together. I write for imprisoned black souls suffering for crimes they did not commit. Through words, I send them healing reminders that the state can house their bodies but not their spirits. I write to reiterate that every great person was once bound, either by the state or themselves. Christ, King, Gandhi, Asada, Malcolm. And for fear of what they knew, what they wouldn't do, what they might sacrifice for the world's freedom. I write because my grandfather couldn't. My father could but wouldn't. My brothers can but won't. There are more children coming, y'all, more ideas to birth, more words we haven't found. The word is life. It is blood in the imagination. Food for the starving soul. This is why I write. I write to remind us that every day without love is a day wasted. It is a sunrise dishonored, a breathless, lifeless existence that only the unintelligent can endure. I write for the insecure, the inept, the uncertain, the self-doubting, the woefully timid, the thick, the husky, the thin, the tentative, the spiritually paraplegic, the emotionally palsied. Through books, I seek to banish hatred and pursue its antidote. This is why I write. I write to hold the hand of the depressed and the dying, the lonely and the suicidal. I have to write, y'all. It is my calling. It is the price I pay for the breath I breathe. I want blackness to bloom all over this land and mend what white supremacy has broken. I want people to love the stranger, honor the ex-con, respect the sex worker, to assume that humanity, regardless of their appearance, to know that every life is worth its breath, every single life. But sometimes we're not so sure. And so, for those in-between times, I write. Until people stop justifying their existence to people who don't even matter. Until Americans admit that some Americans came in chains. Until men fight for women's reproductive rights. Until we stop believing wealth equals human value. Until we let everything that hath breath speak for itself. Until we discover that as long as there are books, there shall be everlasting life. This is why I write. We've crowned someone else our God, y'all. We've abandoned our ancestors in exchange for dollars, but no sense. We've deserted dreams because others could not comprehend them. We've let daddy's failures and mama's shortcomings define who and what we are. But they, mama and daddy, were only hills and mountains to climb in order to learn how to climb. For heaven is a high place. I write that we might make a heaven instead of simply waiting for one. I also write to encourage justice to fight on, to know that winning happens in many ways and sometimes without celebration. If justice quits, we all lose. If justice fails, we shall rally behind her and lift her high. This is why I write, because we are custodians of the planet, y'all, stewards of mercy and kindness. And every day we owe each other at least a bright, uninhibited good morning. This is why I write. One day we'll rise like the morning sun and comfort like an evening breeze, and we'll satisfy like a shading tree, and finally we will be whatever it is that God is. This is why I write. All you have to do is read. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Wow, a Black Study Center, right? I'm excited about this. I flew all the way from Atlanta because that's really what I want to talk about, the power of a Black Study Center, the power of why we do Black Studies. And this is important, particularly in this hour, in this day and age, when America is tripping a little bit, right? All of y'all here got good sense. That's why you're at this place called Old Westbury. And because if a person doesn't know that America is tripping a little bit, you're the problem. You're the problem, you know. And I want to say a couple of things about a Black Study Center. First of all, a Black Study Center is for every student on this campus. It is not for Black students particularly. That's like saying midnight is only for black people. Right? No, that's not true. A Black Studies Center comes as a sign and a symbol of the possibility of what the universe can be. The whole point of a Black Studies symbol is to really say, if you're going to tell a story, you got to tell it all. You got to tell the whole thing. You can't tell part of a story, right, and the narrative be full, the narrative be complete. You have to tell the whole story. And there is no story in America if you don't tell the black part. I'm going to say it again. You can't, listen, do you know how crazy a Black History Month is? Do you know how crazy it is that you even need one? And can I say, go here, you mean to tell me we need a Women's History Month when half the people on the planet are women? Something is out of order here. And the job of folks like you great, brilliant students here, your job is to fix this. Your job is to say no more of this insanity. Your job is to teach against the grain, to teach against the odds. When people now in places like Florida, I'm going to say it because, I don't go to school here. When people in places are scared to teach, when you're afraid to teach truth, the country is in trouble. Because that means what kind of students are you going to get? You're going to get students who are standing in lies while they're thinking they're speaking truth. This is extremely, 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 extremely important. I'm going to give you an example. This beautiful young lady came and sang Lift Every Voice and sang. Sister, beautiful voice. Beautiful voice. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody tell me in the audience, and you can't Google it, which verses of the song did she sing? Oh, God. Come on. Dr. Shabazz, you can't answer. Which verses did she sing? Which verse did she not sing? Or did she sing the whole song? See, you're going to have to know the whole song in order to know. Which verse did she not sing? Okay. Now, can somebody fill it in? Can somebody fill in verse 2? All the students look at me like, don't you dare call me. You can't Google it. All right, I'll do it myself then. What I'm really trying to show you is how, when people construct narratives, if you don't know the whole narrative, you don't know what part they left out. And that's what the point of education in America is. If you don't know the full story, you won't understand the significance of what they left out. Sister, you did fine. You did great, right? Verse 2, stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. You got to know the missing part. You got to know the missing part. You got to know the missing part. Because there are stories that are being told to you, and there are missing parts, y'all. There are gaps in the story. People come along and say, abolitionists freed the slaves. Somebody's supposed to stand up and say, hell no. That's not right. That's not correct. That's not right. People say, well, the Middle Passage is the story of Africans coming to America. No. The Middle Passage is the story of a people who brought Africans to America. Who owned the boats? The Africans didn't own the boats. So whose story is that? Who do you really learn about when you study that period of history? You got to really understand this, y'all. And this is really the magic of what a Black Study Center is going to do at this place called Old Westbury. It's going to fill in the gaps. And that's why you need it. And that's why we got to have it, right? All of us are included in this place called America. See, when you start talking about America, if you don't talk about some Native Americans, you're in the wrong story. It's the wrong story. It's the wrong story. You cannot talk about America and start talking about Indians. What? Who are you calling Indian? How do we do that? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins. Ah! Who the hell does that? Who does that? You know, there's a baseball team in Atlanta called the Atlanta Braves. Y'all heard of the Braves, right? I said, did they almost say the Atlanta Slaves? Could you name a team the Atlanta Slaves? Of course you could. It's insane. The point I'm saying is folks like you, you're the scholar. You have to come along and say, no way. Hell no. Absolutely not. And I would love to say that you could do it very nicely, you know, but we've gotten to a place in America where insanity is so regular. Does somebody feel me? That if you don't stand up real boldly, folks are going to pass off the kind of crazy to you as being normal, right? You have to really be clear about what's important, and we have to be really clear about why it's important. A Black Studies Center is important for another reason too, and that is this. In a minute, people are going to go to college not for a job. You don't go to college for a job. I know some of the students are like, I need a job. And you do need a job, let me be clear. You do need a job. But you don't go to college for a job. You don't go to college for a job. Do you know there will be people who make more money than you who did not get a degree from this place or any other? There will be people who make more money than you, right? There will be people who make more money than you. But if you do college right, there will be nobody who has more peace of mind than you if you do this right. Because the point of college is for you to learn your way out of dependence on external things. It's for you to understand the magic of who you are. The point of college is for you to ask the question, why did I even come to this planet? Why am I walking this planet? Why am I breathing this air? What is it that I'm supposed to change in this universe that the universe couldn't do without me? That's why I was born. That's a question of purpose. If you get in your purpose, money will become irrelevant to you. And purpose is the only thing that really satisfies the soul. And that's really why you're here. You'll get it soon. We'll fall in love with people and marry some of them, leave some of them. Y'all know how that goes. We'll do all of that because what we're really looking for is a thing called purpose. And that's what college is all about. That's why you do this magical moment, so that you can start asking questions of, wait a minute, do we need somebody else on the Supreme Court? I know somebody's crazy. Listen, in fact, please, oh God, prepare yourself to get there. Absolutely. We need new congresswomen. We need new congressmen. We need new superintendents. But we need people who can think and who are not afraid to do so. People who can speak truth to power, right? Folks who can look at politicians and say, politics will never govern truth. Politics cannot tell my soul what to feel. We need people who can do that. We don't need puppets in front of our children, y'all. We don't need people who are afraid of the truth, shaping our young people's minds. We need some people who can say, then you're going to lock me up. In fact, policemen, get your handcuffs ready. Get your handcuffs ready. Because if I enter this classroom, truth is coming forth. But see, if all the teachers do that, you can't lock up all of us. But that's the problem. We can hardly ever get a united front because there are more people who live in fear than who live in freedom. But our job is to be free. Our job is to make sure that we are free and that we teach freedom. You know, I was thinking about, how many of y'all saw the movie Hidden Figures? Right. Well, for those of you who didn't, Hidden Figures is about this amazing black woman named Katherine Johnson, right? And Katherine Johnson is a black woman who, along with other black women, worked at a place called NASA back in the 50s, right? And Katherine Johnson was doing this amazing thing called analytical geometry that figured out the trajectory of how to get a human, to the moon and back, right? Well, while she's doing these unbelievable computations, her white male supervisor is taking the credit for all of her work, right? Now, here's what's profound about this movie to me. What's really profound about this movie to me is Katherine Johnson and the 40 or 50 other black women in the basement who they call computers, every single one of those women have degrees from what's called an HBCU. Every single one of those women have a degree from a black college. How in the hell was she doing the math that nobody else knew how to do? That means something is going on, something is incubating in these black spaces, right, that the rest of the world needs. And we've got to go get it. But not just black colleges. How many of you knew, in fact, that there are also Native American colleges where 99% of all the students are Native American? Raise your hand if you say, oh my God, I didn't know that. Wow. Wow. They're all over the Midwest, right? There's Blackfoot Hills College, just full, where they're teaching Native American languages as their foreign language to Native American students. I mean, how brilliant is that? But I want to show you something. I want someone in this audience, right? No teachers. I want someone in this audience to name for me 20 black colleges. Give me 20 black colleges. Stand and give me 20 black colleges. Oh, I know. Oh, I'm supposed to say right here. Stand, give me 20. First of all, while somebody gives me something, how many black colleges are there total? About 30. That's good. He says about 30. What you think? Who says, I have no earthly idea? This is awesome. Originally, there were more than 200. There are now about 100, 105. Right? So all I want is 20. Is there a good student who can give me 20? Somebody give me 10? Maybe? No. Are you going to give me 10? Sister, you got 10?
Maybe.
Okay, we're going to start with 10.
Okay, Hampton University, Clark Atlanta University,
Yes.
Temple University.
Not 10.
Not Temple, I'm so sorry. There's another, it's Wait, Louisiana.
Now, don't help her.
Okay, that's right.
Hampton, Clark. Wait, you just got 2.
The standing threw me off.
Sister, come on, you started out good.
Okay.
Can somebody give me 10?
Oh, no.
10? Okay, I'm going to compromise. Can 2 people give me 10? Can 2 people together give me 10?
I can give you 2 more.
Can 3 people give me 10? Y'all close. Come on. Put it together.
Oh, Spelman.
Stand. Come on. Who are the 3? 1.
Spelman.
Okay, 3.
Morehouse.
Okay, 4.
North Carolina A&T.
A&T.
Howard.
FAMU.
Louisiana. Is that? No.
You're 7.
About Jackson State?
Jackson State, I'll say, okay. Somebody whisper him, don't Google.
Virginia.
Virginia State?
No. Eddie, come on. Somebody whisper and help him out.
Somebody please say Prairie View A&M.
He's giving you one. Prairie View. Okay, I'm giving you that one. Nah, you gotta give me one more. Oh, come on, one more. They're giving y'all one. He said Stone Goodman. I'm gonna give it to you. All right. Now, why is this important? You know why this is important? Because do you understand the dream that black people had after 400 plus years in bondage? Black people wanted one thing, the ability to read and write. And why? What's funny is our ancestors were not looking for riches at that time. They were looking for the ability to read and write. Why? Why? Because if you can write, you can construct your own riches. If you can read, you can know what someone else is thinking, and you can also communicate what you are thinking. The literate person is going to always be in power over the illiterate person. Because the literate person can control both realms of thinking. Don't ever forget that. Writing is literally a lifeblood for people, anywhere. And when you start talking about black studies centers, when you start talking about gender studies, when you start talking about sexuality studies, what all of these disciplines, what all of these ideas are really doing is saying one thing, and that is, I'm part of the fabric. You can't leave me out. I won't go away. You can't make me be silent. Even if you don't like me, I still exist. And the funny thing about America is we've got to get to the place where we know how to disagree and still honor. Too many times in America, we think if we disagree, we got to fight. Right? That's a very immature mindset, right? And knowledge, the power of knowledge, the beauty of knowledge, the beauty of who we are, the beauty of why we're in this place even right now, is we're trying to figure out how to be different and to still be wonderful and to still be beautiful. We're trying to get out of this period of helping people or thinking that people need to hide if they don't look like you. See, part of the problem with religions over the years has been one thing, and that is most religions can only imagine God as the self. Surely God looks like something other than what you have ever seen. There's got to be some places that you've never seen. There have got to be some things you've never seen that are full of God. It's got to be true. And if that is true, that means we have to teach ourselves to know how to see God in everything, in absolutely every single possibility. And that's really why I'm up here today, because ultimately I'm trying to show you what God looks like in me and as me. And your job is to do the same. Your job is not to go somewhere else looking for God. You go one place looking for God. You go to the mirror. When you're trying to find God, go to the mirror and look in that mirror and say, what up, God? Hey, God, you look kind of good. Oh, my God. God, you're a woman? And God's going to say back to you, of course I am. Because you are. That's who you are. That's what you are. And if someone tells you God doesn't look like you, they don't know God. And you've got to live that way. We're in a nation, y'all, and in a time where violence runs so rampant, right? I was thinking about, and of course everybody now knows about the killings that just happened in Louisville. We now heard about this, right? What's so crazy about this now to me is we've been asking the question, like, just how many people have to get killed before we do something? And my naivete, I say, is it true? Is it actually true that there are government officials who want no gun reform? Is that true? Or do people just disagree as to what kind of reform we want, right? But here's the thing. We're going to bury even our babies before we can agree? We're going to bury our babies? We're going to bury our babies as a nation because we cannot agree? What kind of foolishness is that? What kind of insanity is that? Part of what it means to be in a school like Old Westbury, and again, a Black Studies Center, is that you learn how to argue. You're supposed to learn how to argue. You're supposed to learn how to disagree. You're supposed to learn how to create a solution, right? I don't look anything like you. You don't look anything like me. But there is something we share. It's called blood. It's called air, without which both of us would die. And we've got to figure out how to keep both of our babies alive. We have to do this, you all, because if we don't do this, we are doomed. We are positively and absolutely doomed. And a final thing I want to say to you, to every single person in this room, that I really, really hope you understand that a Black Studies Center comes as a symbol, right, on the heels of a moment when we're really trying to figure out one thing, every single one of us, and that is, how do we get rid of, for all of us, and I'm in this too, how do we get rid of our dream of privilege? Every single one of us has it. If you live in America, you have it. In fact, if your parents were like mine, and I'm sure they were, they send us to school because of the dream of privilege. The dream of privilege is, oh my God, don't be like us. Did anybody's parents tell you that? Do better than me, right? White parents said, Black parents said, do better. All that's saying is, set yourself up for excess. Success is really excess in America, but there's no transformation in it. And I want all of you to consider the possibility that you're not here to get privileged. You're not here to become more privileged. You're not here to make more money than your elders, than your parents. You are not here in order that your house can be the bigger house. Because let's be honest, during the years of 400 years of bondage of Black people, there were people who lived in the biggest houses, but they weren't the most transformative minds. And if we're not careful, our dream, every one of us, we're dreaming of our time in the big house. And I want to ask us to dismantle that dream. I want to ask us to literally take the time to tear that dream all the way to the damn ground. Because in order to live in the big house, you got to make somebody else live in a smaller one. The whole point of excess is so that you can be clear you live above somebody else. In order to do that, we have to participate in oppression. In order to participate in oppression, you have to agree that some things and some people need to be oppressed. But be careful, people. Be very careful, y'all, because oppression is not obedient. Oppression is not obedient. Oppression moves. And in 1 minute, it's coming to your crib. See, you know what's funny? I told a class of mine in Clark, Atlanta, 100 years ago or so, Black people in America could not marry. It was illegal for Black people to marry. Enslaved individuals could not legally marry, right? I'm sure most of y'all know that. Here's the thing that's crazy. How then would the descendants of those same people ever one day vote that somebody else shouldn't marry? What? Because we want our turn as the master. And what I'm suggesting is, let's get rid of the master altogether. The only master is invisible, right? Let's get rid of that. And let's all be clear that we are all citizens of the same republic. We're all citizens of the same land, and we all are here, and we all ought to be here, and we all supposed to be here, and we all need to be here, and this place ain't gonna be right unless we are all participating in it. Is that all right? Let's do that. And do not, whatsoever you do, do not convince yourself that for you to have more is a blessing. And we call it blessings. It's not a blessing to have more. It's a blessing to be more. That's the blessing. If you are more, that's a blessing. If you have more things, you are actually weighted down with trash. and foolish things. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. So let this Black Studies Center that has now come to this place, this Black Studies major that is going to start this fall, let it be part of the transformation of Old Westbury into a place where young people come who want to change the world for everybody in it, who want to change the universe and make this place exactly what God imagined. And until we do that, we are not finished. Thank y'all for having me.